Darth Sidious ignites a lightsaber in exactly one of the live-action Star Wars films. Everything else stays buried. The years he spent invisible to the Jedi Council, the fury capable of erasing a fleet, and worse. In decades of comics, novels, and one animated episode most fans skipped, it's all hidden. Until now. 6 of those abilities never made it to the screen at all, and for this one Sith Lord in the galaxy's entire history, even time itself had a crack running through it. So what actually made Palpatine the most dangerous Force user in galactic history? Not his title, not the armies at his command. 7 specific abilities, and the films only ever showed you one of them. In this video, we're covering every single one of them. The one you've already seen, and the 6 you haven't. One of them quietly turned an entire population into a permanent, unknowing power source, without Palpatine ever leaving his palace. There's also a rage large enough to wipe out an armada in seconds, but we'll get to that. Palpatine treated the lightsaber as a toy for the unimaginative, and mastered every form of it anyway, just to prove the point. According to James Luceno's novel Darth Plagueis, Sidious spent decades secretly mastering all 7 classical lightsaber forms the Jedi developed over thousands of years. He didn't need any of them. His real weapon was the Force, but mastering their own art form meant he could beat them at something they considered sacred. Star Wars: The Clone Wars showed how far ahead that put him. Facing Darth Maul and Savage Opress together on Mandalore, 2 trained Sith at once, he beat them almost playfully, never in real danger. Episode 3 gave more proof. Facing 4 Jedi Masters sent to arrest him, Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, Agen Kolar, and Mace Windu, a man in his 60s cut down 3 in seconds. Windu, who forged Vapad, actually beat him, disarmed him, turned his own lightning back on him. It didn't matter. With Anakin's help, Sidious destroyed him anyway. Here's the part that rarely gets mentioned. Mastering all 7 forms was vanishingly rare. Across legends and canon alike, only a handful of duelists in galactic history, Sidious among them, are ever credited with it. Contempt for the weapon never stopped him from mastering it completely. That contempt for swordplay was nothing compared to what he did to the Jedi's actual specialty, sensing the dark side itself. For over a decade, Palpatine sat across from the most sensitive Force users in the galaxy, and none of them felt a thing. According to Darth Plagueis, Sidious trained obsessively in concealment, a rule of 2 discipline meant to bury a Sith Lord's presence, so completely that even a trained Jedi beside him sensed nothing unusual. Master Yoda, arguably the most perceptive being in the Order, sat with Chancellor Palpatine for years, and never picked up on what was underneath. The Jedi Council spent that same decade hunting for a Sith Lord they were certain had returned, chasing leads across the Outer Rim, while their actual target chaired Senate sessions in the middle of Coruscant. The bitter irony, the one power built to protect the galaxy from exactly this was neutralized not by strength, but by discipline pointed the opposite way: total stillness. It's arguably the quietest, least cinematic power on this list, and the one that let every other plan on it actually work. If this kind of hidden history angle is your thing, hit like and subscribe. So much for hiding from the Jedi, but what happens when a Sith Lord stops manipulating minds and starts manipulating life itself? Palpatine's fascination with controlling life and death didn't start as an experiment. It started as a bedtime story used to manipulate a frightened young Jedi. In the Opera House scene from Episode 3, Palpatine tells Anakin the legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise, a Sith Lord able to influence the midichlorians directly, creating life and stopping loved ones from dying. According to Luceno's novel Darth Plagueis, that wasn't just a story. Plagueis genuinely spent decades on that dark side alchemy, knowledge Palpatine absorbed the moment he killed his own master in his sleep. Years later, in Charles Soule's Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, Palpatine picks that promise back up, gifting Vader the mask of the Sith sorcerer Momin and Mustafar itself, so Vader can use Sith alchemy to bring Padme back. It doesn't work, and that's the twist worth sitting with. The secret Palpatine dangled as a cure for death was never meant to be shared. Vader chased it for years, and Palpatine never let him succeed. Honestly, this is the ability I find most unsettling on this whole list. Not because of what it does, but what Palpatine used it for. Not power for its own sake, but a leash disguised as a promise. Sith alchemy worked on individuals. What Palpatine built next worked on billions. After his apparent death aboard the second Death Star, Palpatine wasn't gone. He was recovering on a planet most fans have never heard of. According to the Dark Empire comic series published by Dark Horse in the early 1990s, Palpatine's sanctuary was the planet Biss, home to billions of colonists living in a permanent, engineered state of contentment. He wasn't ruling them, he was feeding on them. For years, Palpatine quietly siphoned the life energy of that population to fuel his own youth, passively and constantly, without a single resident suspecting anything was wrong. He didn't need to be present or an army standing guard. His influence simply reached across the population like roots spreading underground. Billions of people spent their entire lives blissfully happy on what amounted to a resort planet, never once suspecting they were the resort's actual export. Not what you expected, or is it? No battle, no lightsaber, just an entire civilization drained in silence for the benefit of one man. Draining a planet took patience. What came next took none at all. Remember that Fury we mentioned back at the start? The one capable of erasing a fleet without him lifting more than a hand? This is it. The same Dark Empire storyline that introduced Biss revealed Palpatine generating hyperscale force storms, not simple lightning, but massive, hate-fueled ruptures in space, capable of swallowing entire star systems and unraveling whole fleets in seconds. It's the same destructive current he unleashed on a much smaller, far more personal scale in Episode 3. When he turned to Mace Windu mid-duel and screamed, "Unlimited power!" That line wasn't hyperbole confined to a single fight. According to the comics, storms at that scale didn't stay hypothetical. One wiped out a rebel base on the moon of Dasucha and the fleet above it, and Palpatine later summoned one large enough to annihilate the Alliance fleet outright. An entire armada gone. From something that started as a party trick against one Jedi. The Death Star needed a crew, a reactor, and years to build. This needed him being angry enough. Every one of those abilities, though, still assumed Palpatine could die like anyone else. He made sure that assumption stopped being true. Every other major dark side death in Star Wars is final. Palpatine's wasn't. The technique was already thousands of years old by the time he used it. According to Legends material built around the Republic comics, essence transfer traces back to Darth Vader, one of the earliest Sith Lords, who mastered it millennia before Palpatine, and sealed the secret in his own holocron. Centuries later, in Drew Karpyshyn's Darth Bane novels, Bane tracked that holocron down and tore the technique from it, absorbing knowledge its gatekeeper refused to teach him. Bane then tried it on his own apprentice, Darth Zana, during their final duel, and failed. Her will burned him out of existence, a technique that defeated the very Sith Lord who invented the Rule of Two. Palpatine wasn't the only Sith to pull it off. A dark Jedi named Set Hearth reportedly hopped through cloned bodies for centuries, but Palpatine used it to rule a galaxy. The Dark Empire comics show exactly what killed Bane's ambition, his consciousness escaping the instant he died aboard the second Death Star, then settling into a cloned body prepared for him on Biss. Andedu buried the secret, Bane died reaching for it, Palpatine made it through, and once he resurfaced, his empire was strong enough to nearly finish the New Republic for good. Everything so far, the swordsmanship, the concealment, the alchemy, the storms, even cheating death itself, was still Palpatine operating inside the normal rules of space and time. What comes next wasn't. The final ability on this list is canon, not Legends, and it reshapes more of the saga's ending than anything else here. In one of the closing episodes of Star Wars Rebels' final season, A World Between Worlds, the show reveals a hidden dimension outside normal space and time, connecting every moment in galactic history through countless doorways. Palpatine was one of the few beings who understood how to even locate it. He manipulated the young Jedi Ezra Bridger to gain access himself, hoping to reach across the timeline and undo events already settled. He never fully succeeded. Ezra severed the connection before Palpatine could step through. As far as current canon confirms, Palpatine remains one of only a handful of beings in galactic history ever documented attempting to access that dimension. And that's the part that actually gets under my skin the most on this entire list. Not the storms, not the alchemy, but the idea that history itself was never as fixed as anyone assumed. Even a Jedi victory everyone considers permanent could, in theory, be unwritten.